Hey guys, so first of all, please ignore the not finished living room that is behind me. I will get to it at some point, but that started in a fit of mania and fueled by my ADD hyperfocus. So it got done, and I came down, and the house itself just didn't get finished. It's a work in progress. Anyway, I asked some groups that I'm in on Facebook what kind of things that they would like me to talk about. Or if they watched a channel like mine, what kind of things they would like to see talked about. And one of the things that came up was medication, which coincidentally was what my last video was supposed to be about. I had tried very hard to make a video about my medication when I took it. But the video ended up being me rather stressed out because my kids were coming and going and coming and going every 30 seconds, even though I had told them to clean their rooms. Here I am now, though. My kids are in their room, hopefully going to sleep, and I am going to talk about my meds. Sorry, let me take a drink of my soda because the last time I tried to do this, I started coughing. It was not pretty, and I don't want to do it here because, once again, I only have one take. Okay, let me start with the disclaimer that because medicine works for me doesn't mean that I think everybody needs medicine. Mental health is a very personal journey, so the therapies that we use in order to manage our symptoms is going to be different for every person. What works for me is not going to work for you necessarily. Even two people who have the exact same psychological profile are not going to react the same to medicine. So if you take Private Joe Snuffy over here, and he has bipolar disorder, PTSD, and OCD, and you take Jane Doe over here, and she has the exact same symptoms, what John Doe's put on might not work for Jane Doe, and vice versa. Mental health is kind of fucked when it comes to trying to figure out what works for you and what doesn't. Especially with medication. It can take so long to find out what does work for you because the treatments are so different. So I'm going to show you what works for me. And once again, this might not work for you, and that's fine. Also, you might be one of those people who doesn't want medication. That's fine. As long as you're treating your symptoms and learning how to handle them, I have no say in what you do. I'm just happy that you are managing your symptoms, because it's a big thing. Managing our symptoms can make us feel more productive. And at the end of the day, isn't that what this is all about? I have an alarm set on my phone for 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. My goal is to take my meds every day between 9 and 10, both morning and night. I am an exceptionally forgetful person, so if I don't have my phone alarm, I will completely forget if I've taken my meds or not. Additionally, there have been times where I go back to the meds, wondering if I had taken them or not already. That is where this comes in. Not only is it a handy utensil that I can show you, but it also distracts from when I need to take a drink. It's great. So I tend to take my meds in the morning and the evening, and this gives me a physical representation of if I've taken them or not. Once I've taken these meds right here, I make sure that I refill the whole week. That way, if I take my meds here and I end up going back because I'm not sure if I had taken them or not, I can see that it's empty. I've taken it. So that's that. There are two main meds that I want to start with, and that is these babies. These are not mental health medications. These are nutritional supplements, but they play a really big role in my mental health. This bad boy right here, this is calcium with vitamin D. Vitamin D is a requirement to synthesize calcium. If you don't have enough vitamin D in your system, it can also lead to depression. This helps boost how much vitamin D I have. Additionally, the first Monday of every month, I have to take a vitamin D pill because I'm deficient in it, which can play a part in when I feel depressed. This right here is a prenatal vitamin, and no, it's not because I'm trying to get pregnant. This acts as a multivitamin that I can take every day to add just a little bit more calcium and a little bit more vitamin D to my system. Technically, I lack in both. I also can't have dairy. I'm allergic to whey. I'm not lactose intolerant. I'm just straight up allergic to it. So these together play a role in how the vitamins in my body are level. It took me a really long time to get on board with the idea of using nutritional supplements, and it wasn't until I sat down with both my dietitian and my doctor and talked to them about it that I understood why they were asking me, and it had a lot to do with my blood panels. The next med that I'm going to talk about is one that I take both morning and night. I can fish it out of here because I don't want to keep opening and closing pill containers. I take 1.5 pills. That's right, I got a cool pill cutter with a blade in it. This is Trileptal. Now, this is for my bipolar disorder, and if you think that somebody with bipolar disorder should be on something like an antipsychotic or a mood stabilizer, typically you'd be right. Except we haven't found a mood stabilizer or an antipsychotic that has worked with my bipolar disorder. What we found was an antiepileptic or an anti-seizure medication given to patients who have epilepsy. They aren't sure how this works in some individuals with bipolar disorder. In fact, it doesn't work for a large number of people with bipolar disorder. Only a select few, and apparently I'm one of them. At the end of the day, I choose to be happy about that, though, because we at least found something that works. Here comes my kitty cat. Where was I? I'm sorry. I don't have ADD medication in my system right now. It took a couple of years of me trying medication when I was like 15 or 16. Well, 16, because that's when I was diagnosed. And, they kept putting me on antipsychotics and mood stabilizers, and they just would send me into mania. So they decided, or rather, I decided, fuck this, I'm done with medicine. Come on, back, kitty. And I went off medicine, just cold turkey, and never went back to it because I decided I didn't have bipolar disorder. I'm sure you're going to hear me say that a lot. Coming back on the medicine, we tried 3 or 4 different medicines before we found what worked. Anyway, moving along, so this video isn't a 30-minute video. I take this in the morning also. It's a little white pill. It's Lexapro. It's an antidepressant. It's also for my bipolar disorder. Additionally, I take 2 of these. These little pills right here, some of you may recognize, especially if you have ADD, because for a long time this was the standard go-to. This is Adderall. It's also sold on the street, apparently. I don't know how much money I could get for my meds. No, I'm not interested in doing that because I really do need them. The ADD medication helps me really get... Goodness, she is determined tonight. The ADD medication helps me focus, which is a big part of what ADD is. Like, the stereotypical person with ADD can't focus. But it helps me not feel overwhelmed, which is a big deal for me, because when I'm overwhelmed, I can't do anything. Nothing at all can I do. I see, like, a list of things that might be 3 or 4 items. And for me, it just feels like it's so overwhelming. And that's because my brain breaks up all that whole list into step by step by step instructions. And then instead of seeing a list of 3 or 4 items, I now have a list of 30. And it gets really overwhelming. For me, thinking about taking meat out of the fridge for dinner would be the equivalent of having boxes for walking to the freezer and opening the freezer and grabbing the meat and moving the meat to where it's going to defrost for dinner. And then there's multiple steps for something that's really simple. I get overwhelmed. Adderall helps me not get overwhelmed. The last 2 meds I'm going to talk about. This is a little itty bitty pill, and I typically take 2 of them. This is called clonidine. This pill helps me sleep. And to aid clonidine, I have dioxepine. I take 1 to 3 dioxepine and 1 to 2 clonidine, depending on how hard it is for me to fall asleep. I'm actually doing this with sleep medicine in my system, but it is 10:40 in the evening and I'm still not tired enough to go to bed. Since I only took 2 dioxepine, I'll probably go take the 3rd and it should be enough to make me fall asleep. Those are the medications that I take. But, well, I'm on more. I also have, my buspirone. I forgot to mention, I'm also on buspirone. It's a tiny little white pill that doesn't really do anything. It's great. It's used for anxiety attacks. And the reason I'm on buspirone as opposed to something more traditional like Xanax is that I can't take anything that's in the anti-anxiety category, or at least almost anything in that category. I'm really sensitive to medications. Even my Adderall, the amount that I take is what they prescribe for a 12-year-old. My body reacts very strongly with medications, so I have to be really careful with them. If I take Xanax, I'm a zombie and I can't take care of my kids. I actually function better during a panic attack when I'm hyperventilating and crying and curled up in a ball on the couch. Because at least then when my kid needs something, I can try to work through it. But with Xanax, I pass out. And almost any anti-anxiety medicine, I pass out. It fucks me up. So, I take buspirone, which doesn't really do much of anything, but it is what it is. I also have asthma, so I take Advair and Singular Advair twice a day and Singular once a day. And Roxy, dear. Roxy. Sorry, my dog is itching herself. And it got very loud and kind of annoying and distracting because that's what everything does. So, like I said, those are the medications that I take. But because I'm on medicine doesn't mean everybody else has to be on medicine. I just wanted to give you an idea of what it's like or what the medications are like for me, especially since I'm sharing my life and my story with you all. It is very important to remember that the medications that work for one person are not going to work for everybody across the board. Mental health is very weird, especially when we talk about things like bipolar disorder. So I had somebody ask me what causes bipolar disorder, and I can't answer that because science hasn't answered that yet. Science believes that bipolar disorder is probably caused by genetics, environmental factors, brain chemistry. But they haven't proven that yet. And like most mental health, brain chemistry plays such a large part in the illnesses that are diagnosed that it's hard to know how one drug is going to affect the chemistry in your brain. We do know that things like SSRIs work on depression, but even then, the dose, what kind of SSRI you're on, those are all dependent on the person and how they synthesize the drug in their body and how their brain reacts to it. So, my takeaway from this video, what I want you to remember is that, one, being on medication is okay. Even if you're only on medication for a short period of time because you are going through some fucking shit, got it. Medication is not the end of the world. It doesn't have to be a lifelong item in your life. It is for me, but that doesn't mean it will be for everybody else. Number two, there's plenty of other therapies out there that don't involve medicine. Talk therapy, CBT, EMRD, meditation. There's a whole bunch of different therapies that you can utilize to manage your symptoms. If you are more comfortable and it works for you, go for it. Number three is that no two people are alike, so the medications that work for everybody else may not work for you. Number four ties into that. If you decide to get medication, and when you see a doctor about it, please, please, please be patient. It is going to take a while. It will take a while for those medications to get into your system. It will take a while to determine if the regimen that you are on is actually working. And don't be discouraged if you find something that works really well for you, and then suddenly you realize that it's not doing what it was doing before, and you have to go through the whole process again. Because unfortunately, there are some medications your body is just going to build up an immunity to, and they won't work anymore. That's what happened to me in my clonidine, and that's why we had to add the dioxazepine. Because I can't take traditional sleep medicines because of the way that my body reacts to it. So here are two medicines, one that worked really well for me that I cannot up the dose in anymore. So let's add a little helper in there that works along with the sleep medicine. Just be patient. Be patient despite how fucking frustrating it will be. And remember, if you need anything, I am here. I will listen. I hope you all have a great day. And I hope that somebody somewhere learned something today.